Nothing sickens me more than misleading advertising. They give you this, but you pay for that. Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome to another episode of Dump City. We're going to do something a little bit different this week. Rather than have a full length show, this will be a half length show. The format will be a little different. I'm not going to tell you what's actually in the show right off the bat. We'll sort of do that as we go. I'm going to do this in two parts this episode. Another thing I'm not going to do is catch you up what's going on in the world, because quite frankly, we're the same time as the start of last episode. We've reversed time, and it looks like we're going to do something again. Okay, so if you want to know what's going on in the rest of the world, watch the series. This all got built over time. This is Soviet Los Angeles here. But this week's episode is a very specific challenge, something that we did last week, but we failed on. And what I want to do here is actually the same challenge again, but you're not going to have to watch the whole thing. I'm just going to show you what went critically wrong last week. And rather than make you think that the task was actually impossible, I want to explain one vital thing that should change your mind on that. So if you're not familiar with how this game works, there's spawn cities on the map here. Let's just have a look here. These little black dots around here. These are the spawn cities, okay? So normally whenever you build a building, if I go here and, build a house, here, if I plop it down in one of these spawn cities, the entire region activates and they basically want to leave. They have demands, and if you can't meet their demands, the city abandons itself. So that's sort of what happens when socialism spreads in this game. So last week I thought, well, if I did it quick enough, set up some bus stops around the city and grab some workers, I could build the buildings fast enough if we staged an area here with all the resources and a bunch of trucks just bringing in steel, prefab, bricks, etc. You had food ready to go. I thought if we did it really quick, they would stay. But I watched the video last week and I noticed something that made me want to do this again, because this wasn't a perfect attempt last time. That was my first try of it ever. It was in real time. I got to experience, just like you, what would happen. I know this is a common question for, the millions of people who play this game. Like, how do you do this? How do you keep the people from abandoning? So I thought this would work, but I realized afterwards that the actual mechanic is that everyone in the city becomes a passenger or a student. And I think there was a few workers that might have been spawned here, but at least 99% of them appeared to be passengers, okay? So I didn't notice that till I reviewed the video and realized, oh my God, that this wasn't like a breakdown of workers, passengers, students. It was almost all passengers and some students. And I realized, okay, if that's the case, then why don't we try this again real quick with bus lines that immediately pick everyone up and bring them to an area where they can get their services taken care of. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the game, a passenger is basically someone who needs to visit a hospital or go to a museum or get some beer or go to the mall, get some food, get some electronics. That's what passengers are. They're people who are not on a shift. So your people, which, they should call them just people, okay? They refer to everyone as worker, but worker is specifically someone who's going to work in the game. So these people won't work and build a city if they don't have their needs taken care of. So I thought, hey, why don't I set up these bus routes, bring them to the other city, which you could do again. If you're doing this in a new spawned map, you could do this near the custom house. However, you'd have to have a little mini city capable of servicing large crowds from these spawn cities to do this, okay? So I think it might be possible, but it's a little bit more work than I originally thought. You have to basically set this up so that this bus route here, for example, we'll look at this LV Transit 1. It goes through 3 bus stops in the city, and then it drops off at 2 spots in Los Angeles. And both these spots have malls. There's a hospital here somewhere. It has a swimming pool. Here we got a theater. So all the services they're going to need are at those 2 stops. And then it comes back, and we set up a ton of buses to do this, okay? That's what differs between this attempt and last one. So we're not going to have, many buses here at the construction office initially, but once I see the number of passengers dwindle, I'm going to switch over and grab the buses and put them in the construction office. then try this. And this is a half episode. I'm not going to show you all the real-time play of this. I'm just going to show you the start of it. I'm going to play for 2 months, and then you can see the result, okay? So that's kind of what's going to go on here. So without further ado, let's just press play. And I do have a few other things I have to watch over here. I've set up a whole bunch of, vehicles that are going to be attacking the city right away here. And this is a race. Another thing too I've done here that differs from last episode is I have just very, very limited projects I'm working on. 1 sewer, 1 water, 1 power line, 1 substation, and a little shopping center to start off. I'll enable other ones in order so that they don't spread out as much. So we'll see if we can do better. Last week, this was the benchmark house. It went down to 8 people in 2 months. So if we can have more than 8 people, we've at least proven that we can do a better attempt of it. That's what we're going to do here. I'm going to catch some vehicles. I'm going to talk about a couple of random topics. Last episode was so hectic, I wasn't able to actually discuss everything that I wanted to talk about. But this episode I will. So let's just get onto a topic here while I play the game a little bit. It's called an idea to implement communism with points. Okay? So what if we set up a system where instead of having people have to pay rent with money, have to buy food with money, we create a point system where it's a separate currency system where basic necessities are actually taken care of through points. So maybe you earn them, you get a regular salary, you get your minimum wage, but you also get your points. Okay? What do you think of that? Is that something that would be a way to implement socialism and have maybe if you can convert them to dollars if you don't need the points? Yeah, maybe some people could, like for those who need to buy, let's say you have to pay $20,000 a year in rent, but that could be converted to a $5,000 vacation for your family if you're upper middle class. Maybe that's how they could be used. I think all the numbers work out. So what do you think of that? Rather than having a bloody revolution, which is the alternative, right? Because as we've discussed in the series, we cannot continue to build a society that consumes more than it actually produces, right? Which is the current problem in the US. So socialism is going to have to take over. We're going to have to wrestle control away from the corporations and the financiers of the world and create these institutes that do stuff like this if the nation's to survive. So what do you think? Let's do it with a point system. I think that's a much better way to do it. Okay, I just want to make sure all our vehicles are moving into Vegas here. See that they're all assigned. There's like 50 vehicles that started moving as soon as I hit play. Our construction office here, this should be almost empty now. And see if we can fill in a few more spots. Oh, that one can go there. That's nice. What about this one here? Can this go here? Nice, nice. And maybe one here. Let's try that. Very good, very good. And, well, we could grab a couple of these dumpers here. Let's grab this one here. And we'll put it over here. Again, you're not going to watch me play the whole episode. Once this starts basically working, after it gets to, middle of July, you're going to skip ahead and we'll see the result. And we'll have a much shorter episode than you're accustomed to. Okay, let's grab a couple of dumpers here. And we'll move everything over. Oops, we don't have room for any more. Let's see if we can get one more dumper in one of these offices here and see how this works. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll hit play again. So let's just check how they're doing here. Okay, so we have some workers waiting here. Okay, that's different than last time. Maybe some of the buses have already picked up some people and now they're workers. I don't know how fast they become workers. If I start noticing any buses here are not full on passengers, I'm going to change the route so that it doesn't do passengers anymore. I'm going to change it so they become construction workers. One other thing I'm going to do here is going to build a little bit of road right here, a little bit of gravel road, and we'll assign that to the district construction office. Because I want to get this sewage unloading facility too, because we don't have full plumbing for sewage and water, but we have some stations we could dump into. So that's the service they'll get until the rest of it gets built. Okay, so that's the intent of it there. Let's do one more topic here. This is the condensed show. I have a theory on how this show could become more addictive. Okay. So if you're watching this show and you want to be more addicted to it, I suggest you associate it with positive activities. Like, let's say you watch the show at a designated time where you're playing video games and it's in the background. You have it on YouTube. You have it on another window. So you're always playing it while you're playing the video game. Maybe you're smoking weed or something. Okay. Maybe you don't even play the video games and you just want to enjoy watching a video game, a simulated socialism, and just something that's different with things going on, right? If you associate this show with a more positive thing, something you enjoy, I think this could become a much more addictive show. So let me know if that's your current strategy for actually watching the show. Back to the game here. Yeah, these vehicles are still arriving. We still don't have all our buses. I don't think we have garbage trucks either. I'll set those up between stages here. We'll see how this format works. Again, this is season finale. It's the name of the episode. Okay. All these vehicles are taking forever to get in here. There's just so many of them, I guess. You know what I'm going to do too? If I see any buses at Mexico and Canada, I'm going to move them. Okay, this guy here, this guy can go to the U.S. construction office. And let's see if we got any here. Oh, we got two here. Let's grab one and send it over to the U.S. construction office. Actually, let's bring this guy all the way over. All the way over. Because there's a spot there. May as well use it, right? Okay, let's keep an eye on these buses here. Do we have any passengers left over? Okay, so we got no workers. See, look what we're doing. This is the difference. Last time we had, this was overloaded with passengers all the time. And now we're getting them all taken care of. And as long as these have a good amount, like, see, that vehicle's full. This one is going to get, well, this one's not quite full, but it's almost full. And as their needs are taken care of, they'll start spawning back as workers later. And then I'll grab these buses and we'll see how that works. We'll see if they start building the city a little quicker. Last time, this was a fiasco. We didn't get anything done. So this is, again, it's a half episode. And then the other advantage to it is because I'm going to play without the recording, I can focus more. I don't have to talk and I don't miss things. I won't make as many mistakes. I'll pause. I'll look for any inconsistencies in my world. And I'll do it correctly. Okay. Real-time presentation is quite a bit harder than, do some video takes and then just give you the best take. I yap. It's a yapping show. Okay. I play all kinds of video games. This is just one of them. So we'll see how that works. Yeah, I want to talk about one more topic here. It's called the BRT Mindset. Okay, so I learned what a BRT is. I don't actually remember what it stands for. It's something about rapid transit. But the thing that is interesting about a BRT system, it's a rapid transit system. Buses basically get the right of way. Okay, and most cities don't have that. Buses don't have any super priority. They have some lanes, they got priority, but a real BRT system has rules to it where buses always cut off all other traffic, always. A BRT bus will never wait behind a car. That's impossible. Okay, that just doesn't happen in a BRT system. So this is called the BRT mindset. Basically, the idea that everyone else needs to get out of your way and let you do your thing because you're doing something more important than other people. So if you ever get in a situation where you're stressed out and you need some help with things, develop the BRT mindset. Push everyone aside and get it done. I'm going to talk about one last topic in the second half of the show. It's how a man got killed by an MRI machine. Okay, so that's one announced topic. Again, this happened in reality. You can look it up. I'll tell you where it happened in the second half here, but I think we got most of the world set up here. I'm just going to keep an eye on things here. We'll see if as long as all our passengers at these bus stops are turning into workers. Okay, so this was much better than last time. Last time we had so many passengers here, it was ridiculous. Okay, there's 3 bus stops here, and yeah, these all had into the triple figures. It was ridiculous. So they're supposed to be in the city. Let's just also quickly double check our city isn't getting overloaded with them. Okay, so we do have quite a bit more than normal here. Okay, but they have 2 malls they can actually visit, I believe, so that shouldn't be an issue. They got a theater. They got multiple theaters. Let's see how the hospital's doing. Yeah, doesn't look like we're overrun anywhere here, so that's a positive thing. Yeah, I think this is looking okay. Why isn't this full? Okay, that's the first question. Gas station's not full. At least one of these better be full, or I'm going to flip. Okay, why are they not full? Why are they not? Because there is... Oh, no. Are they just... Okay, that's just how long it takes, I guess. I guess they're still trying to fill up. We're so far in line. We're right here on the map. We're almost at the middle of the map, and we're going all the way from here to get fuel. Okay, so I'm going to check these vehicles, and yeah, they're still trying to fuel up our gas stations. So I think that's a sign that we should probably fast forward a little bit and see how this works. So we have our condensed episode. We don't want this to go on for hours like the earlier episodes. This is a bit of an experiment, so we'll see. We'll see how that works. So I'm going to stop recording here. I'm going to play for a bit diligently. I'll probably play for over 2 hours in real time in order to get to the next stage to see how this evolves and see how well we do. Again, last week we did this. There was 8 people in this building around September 9th, I think it was. So about 2 months of play. Let's see how much better we do. We'll come back in basically just under 2 months and see how this works. And we're back. We're about 2 months into the future here. I got YouTube selected here. Just a reminder, YouTube's very pro-communist, pro-socialist. That's what YouTube does, right? At least in Soviet America. So how have things gone here? Let's just press play. We're exactly 2 months into the future. Let's check that house. We'll see. How did we do? We had 30 to start. We got 16 this time. Okay. Last time we tried this, I think we were down to 8. Now they're not very happy in this house, but this went much better. Okay. It's a lot easier to play this game, you know, when I'm not yapping. And I did quite a few things better here. The bus routes here, you'll notice now we got lots of workers and not nearly as many passengers at the bus stations. So what's happening is the routes that I originally had that were going around picking up passengers, I've gotten rid of all the slower buses and put just the faster buses in it. So they're still servicing it. I have tons of these micro buses now actually sourcing these bus stops for construction workers now. A thing worth noting here though, see, this is a fully staffed shopping center. We obviously finished this fairly quickly and we have electricity obviously, but it still isn't serving people fast enough. So I guess that these people aren't very productive because normally I think if this store was inside Los Angeles, this would be enough people to service them. But here, I guess they're just not happy enough. So they're just not very productive yet. I bet you if we look at some of them, yeah, productivity 30%. All these appear to be 30% productive workers. So that would explain why it's not enough yet, but it's slowly improving. Another thing worth noting too, last week when we tried this, the population, I believe, dipped down to under 19,000. So we've only lost a few hundred here, which is a massive improvement. So I do suspect that this is going to work out, okay? So not only did we finish our small shopping center and get electricity this time, we have a sewage tank here and a water substation. Quick note, the water trucks are going non-stop delivering water. So if you want to try this with the custom office, I'd say you probably need at least 5 or 6 water trucks, the biggest ones possible, because they come in, they dump the water in, and then it's, you know, not good enough anymore. Right now I only got 3 and it's a very, very long distance to actually get the water. So I would suggest that would be the thing that is something you would want to consider. What else? I also got a school done too. Again, teachers not very efficient, so even though it's max staff, they're not teaching fast enough, but at least it's something. I noticed a lot of people at the bus stops were students, so now we have very few students here. They're going to the school, okay? The culture building is going to be built soon here, and we'll see how this works out. We'll just play it a little bit more, see how this plays out. Again, this is the new condensed half episode, just to see how this works out. I want to tell you about a story, though, about a man who died in an MRI machine. Did you know you could die in an MRI machine? And this has happened more than once. I believe the guy was in New York or Long Island or something like that. His wife was actually getting the MRI. Then she was complaining about something. I don't know what it was. Like, she just felt uncomfortable. And then this guy had like chains on his neck. Okay. I think he was an older guy. And he went in to like help her. And you can't have metal inside an MRI room. Okay. Did you know that? Well, now you do. Again, the show, we have random bits of information. I don't repeat stories you'll see on other shows, right? This is just, and apparently, yeah, I guess it strangled him, this metal chain. Apparently they say if you have like a wheelchair in an MRI room, it'll move across the room. It's that powerful, the magnet. So never ever bring metal into an MRI room. And definitely don't wear metal chains. That's just, yeah. And I believe this has happened more than once in New York, but this was in recent years. In the 2020s, this has happened. This man dies in an MRI machine. So, random story. Okay, let's get back to the game here. Let's see here. Okay, we're down to 15. I think in the last episode, we checked out on September 9th, and we were at 8. So we're doing twice as good here. We might go down a little bit more, but this isn't nearly the rate of decline as before. And we now have so many vehicles serving people here. Like, we can move this around a bit here. Oops. We have enough construction workers to basically finish this off. Once the culture building here is built, see, this one will get done too. I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll only dip below 20,000, okay? And don't forget, the season ends once on census day. We have 20,000 people and purchasing power of over 2 million. Now we're up to 6.5 million. So this series, if anything, we've learned how to really make money. You know, we've shown socialism is actually more profitable than capitalism, it seems. It's obviously a lie that the capitalists try to, you know, teach you that they somehow are the only ones who can make money. But no, it looks like we're making money too, right? So don't listen to their propaganda. That's the thing about propaganda. You don't know who's actually behind it. Like, you can say that nation there has propaganda. You don't know the truth. When in reality, they say the exact same thing about you. You actually don't know the truth about the situation you live in. Every nation, whether it's socialist or capitalist, does this. It's just an issue of who's doing the lying, right? And the type of lies that are tolerated. Let's look at science and academia as an example here. You would say, looked at the last episode, you would have concluded this was impossible to do. There's no way you could survive. But upon introspection, corrections were made. So if a nation tries socialism, for example, is it going to always fail, or are you going to learn and do something better the next time? And clearly, we've learned and done something much better the next time here. So there's some lessons to be learned in that. This is an exercise in critical thinking too. Okay? If you don't think logically, you're not going to be as good at problem solving. Doesn't matter what your job is. There's plenty of people whose job is essentially not to think critically. So this is why they have their job. And then they voice their opinions, they have some money, and then you go, well, you know what? I don't know if I agree with you, what you're saying. I think we applied some good critical thinking here. We tried this again. Worked out much better. We'll see next year how this goes. Again, this isn't the season finale if you thought it was. That was just a name, right? I just named the episodes, you know. I have to get noticed somehow. If you follow the series, you know I do stuff like this, so you should, you know, not be surprised by this. Next episode should be the season finale if we maintain our 20,000 population and, you know, don't somehow go bankrupt by then. I think the money's going to be no issue. But otherwise, I think we're showing that this appears to be on course to be successful here. There we go. We got our culture house here. So we just need a swimming pool and some propaganda here. This Red Star Monument, I think we're good to go. We won't go below 20,000 here, I'm going to say. And another thing, too, with these spawn houses, they provide their own heat. So you're probably going, well, where's the heat? Are they going to freeze now that it's winter? That's the beauty of doing this, is that you don't need a heat system and you don't have to build houses. So it saves you lots of money. And if we just save 1,500 people from vacating the city, what's that cost to buy them in the houses? You know, what's that, 150,000? That's quite a bit. 150,000 rubles saved by doing this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think of this format here. And yeah, I'll see you next week for the season finale.